Hello everybody and welcome back to Garibaldi Red, a Nottingham Forest podcast. Happy New Year, our first one of 2025, and if you are watching on YouTube or Facebook you will see behind me my brand new Forest calendar. Always a tradition to get that for Christmas every year, the 2025 calendar. And Matt Sells kicks us off in January. What a vital player he's been for Forest and many others, which we will discuss in this podcast and preview, of course. The small matter of another big game on Monday night against Wolves away at Molineux, 8 o'clock in front of the TV cameras. Safe trip to everyone going down to Wolves as well, especially on a Monday night. I can imagine it's going to be absolutely freezing. We will discuss that. Forest sat in third, which is crazy to say, and crazy to say again. And Ola Aina possibly signing a new contract after some bit of media talk and speculation yesterday. To do all of that, joined by Sam from the Tricky Tees Forest T-shirt business. Sam, how are you, mate? Good to see you. Good Christmas and Happy New Year as well, mate.
Yeah, thanks for having me again, Max. Had a good Christmas. Happy New Year to everyone that's listening. Delighted to be back on talking about some more positive forest stuff. It's great.
Yeah, and it's absolutely brilliant. When was that? I think, did we talk about was it the United game we talked about,
After
Sam?
the United one, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And we were enjoying it then, but I don't know, I still had like that reservation in the back of my mind whether it would continue, and it has. Just crazy to say, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just great. Everyone that I bump into, like I live down in London, and everyone that knows me down here that's all they can talk to me about because it's just amazing. Everyone's dreaming of the glory days again, which is fantastic, and the bubble's not burst yet. So we'll keep on talking about good stuff that we're doing, and we're in the Champions League spots, and we deserve to be there. And yeah, it's just great.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. It's funny you say that actually about talking to people down in London, because up in Manchester I was in the gym earlier today. I text you actually, didn't I, to say I'll send you the podcast link in a bit. I'm just in the gym, and the amount of kind of people coming up to me almost had a few funny looks with the Forest shirt on, in a good way I think, and then 2 or 3 blokes just came up to me and were like, I can't believe Forest are flying at the minute, and we just had a natter about football. So it seems to be surprising the whole footballing world, but in a way we're not really surprised, because as you were saying, Sam, we deserve to be there. We've earned our place, and obviously long may it continue with that trip to Wolves on Monday. We will get on to Wolves in a short while, but I wanted to kind of talk, because we are halfway now, Sam, really, at kind of the halfway point of the season. Obviously easier to, it's very easy to talk about because it has been such a brilliant first half of the season, but when you look back at the last 6 months in a way or so, what would be your standout moments, standout memories, really?
I mean, we've been so fortunate this last 6 months to have so many great memories. I think as a whole, my kind of overarching kind of favourite thing is the pre-season predictions from all the pundits is my favourite thing, because I'm sure there's loads of compilation videos and things like that. And if you look back on them, they're hilarious, because basically every pundit had us to go down. It was our third season. We'd fought off relegation 2 seasons in a row, and it was almost like a unanimous thing amongst the experts that we were going to be right down there again with the likes of Ipswich and Leicester. So my favourite thing now is just looking at that league table, to be honest. Seeing all those people that doubted us, and there still are many people that do doubt us even now in the position we're in. But along the way, we've had some amazing moments. The Liverpool win was obviously, I was actually on a flight on the way back home for that one, and took off, and just before the game kicked off, and landed, and we were 1-0 up with a few minutes left, and I couldn't believe it. So that's probably one of the ones that's been up there. And then like I say, there's been some fantastic home performances, fantastic away performances, and yeah, like I say, my favourite thing is just now looking at that league table and genuinely being considered as one of those teams that are up there and have got a serious chance of getting into Europe. It's insane. It's always been a bucket list thing for me to go and watch. It would always be a bucket list thing for me to go and watch Forest in Europe. And the fact that there's even a possibility of it in my lifetime, or at the age of 26 now that I am, I never thought it would happen. So just enjoying it all, mate. Just loving it all.
Yeah, but you're right. It's just such a weird feeling, isn't it? And I think in a way that I can remember talking to like Dave on the podcast here before, and just generally talking to other football fans, and they'd go, "So what's the aim for Forest this season?" Well, a bit of a mid-table finish, just avoiding relegation again, really building almost on what we've had to deal with the last 2 seasons with a bit of controversy, the points deduction, obviously nearing relegation both times. But to say now that we've almost jumped that kind of progress everyone talks on. Obviously, there's a long way to go, and I'm not saying it's going to be set in stone that we're going to finish in Europe. But as you were saying, keep dreaming. And you look at a team like Brighton, and it took them kind of 4 or 5 years to get up there. Well, Forest, it's kind of taken them 6 months, really, kind of a season, and it is just honestly crazy to say. But yeah, no, spot on, mate. And I think especially the Liverpool game, I think Leicester away was a key moment for me. I was thinking about that the other day, and I don't mean this in a disrespectful way to Leicester or even Steve Cooper at the time. I always thought Forest would beat them, and they're not a top 6 club. They're not a Man United. They're not a Liverpool result. But it was testament that Forest kind of conceded just before half time. And I can remember going into half time and saying to my brother, I said, this will decide whether we are a top 10 club this season. I said that, or maybe a bottom half. How can we bounce back almost? How can we see out this game? It was a difficult game. It was scrappy. It was made difficult. Yet Forest saw that game out because of key players, because of Chris Wood, because of Callum Hudson-Odoi. Remember, Jota Silva had a great game when he came on. So I just thought after walking out that game that maybe something special was happening. And then that was definitely confirmed with the United result as well, which was just absolutely brilliant. Obviously, one of my favourite moments of probably 2024, because just living in Manchester, it was just so nice to have the pride, mate, and kind of walk around with a Forest shirt on. Right, let's talk Ola Reina before we talk Forest Wolves. Many rumours yesterday. Sky Sports News actually mainly reporting it that Forest are in contract talks with Ola Reina. Of course, his contract expires at the end of this season. It's very soon. What do you make of that, Sam? Obviously, he's just been such a key player to us. There's been interest elsewhere, even from the likes of Manchester City. Forest have to get that contract over the line, do you think?
Throw the checkbook at him. He is, on the pitch, is fantastic. But I think more importantly, off it, you can tell that the kind of togetherness that he brings in that dressing room, the good energy, the confidence. He's probably one of the most pivotal players off the field, I think, that we've got at the moment. He just brings a completely different energy than anyone else does, and it's reflecting the way we play. So it's, like I say, just throw the checkbook at him, let him whatever he wants within reason. Obviously, don't want to cause any disharmony amongst the group, but he deserves it. He's one of those players that's maybe been written off a few times in his career before, and he's worked hard to get where he is now, and he loves it. You can tell he loves it, and he's a phenomenal player. And I've seen him being floated around in people's team of the season so far on social media, and absolutely deserves it. He's been phenomenal. So I will be very surprised if Marinakis doesn't give him what he wants, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the key things, isn't it, Sam, and we've talked about who Forest can bring in January and being an attractive club, but it's also keeping the mould of the squad together, isn't it? And the likes of Morgan Gibbs-White and Murillo, that of course will always attract interest. But Forest are such a positive club at the minute in terms of being on and off the pitch, and to keep players, that's almost the most important thing, isn't it? Because you want to keep that almost core value of the squad, and Ola Reina is one of those players. You just look at him in the dressing room, for example. His atmosphere, his energy it's just so electric to the squad.
Yeah, and you compared Forest to what Brighton have done, and Brighton's model has been great, where they've brought in players on the cheap or through their academy, and they've built this core team together. But what Brighton have done is they've ended up selling those players, the Caicedos, the Cucureos, the ones that have come through their ranks they bought cheap. They've ended up selling those players. Where I think the difference with us is Marinakis doesn't see getting into Europe as a ceiling for Forest. He sees there is no ceiling for Forest, and I think that's the difference. I think he'll be so unwilling to to let any of these players leave, just because he's got this fantastic core of players that's gelling so well at the moment. why would you want to disturb that? So if he's got the ambition, he's got the funding to do it, and we're within PSR, then I don't see any of those players going anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. And in terms of January, when we're looking at signings, which position do you think Forest need to strengthen in? I think we all can agree that it would be maybe nice to get a backup striker, because if something went wrong with Chris Wood, where would we be? But touch wood, it hasn't so far, and fingers crossed it doesn't. Where else would you be looking at, an area where Forest could potentially improve squad depth in, really?
I'm struggling, to be honest, apart from that striker position. I think if we get Danilo and Sangare back fit, then I think the midfield options are phenomenal. At fullback, maybe there's an argument for. I mean, there's three of them really that are playing: Williams, Moreno, and Oloreno. Obviously, Moreno's on loan, so there's potential for some other cover there. But realistically, I can't pick out another position. It's one of the weirdest transfer windows we had in a while, where we really don't need to go out and desperate for other players and desperate to try and make something else happen. It's all there. The foundations and the formulas are all in place. It's just add one quality striker maybe and see what happens. I think I would like to see. I've seen a few stupid names floated about already, but it's funny though, because like whoever you bring in, you can't drop Chris Wood at the moment. So I'd love to go and see us spend 30-40 million on a world class striker and have that addition to the squad and kind of take us to the next level. But you're going to be sat on the bench behind Chris Wood, isn't he? So what's the point?
Yeah, it's a great point. No, it's a really good point, mate. Absolutely. Let's talk the game, Sam. It's not going to be an easy test away at Molineux. I just don't think it ever is. Wolves are one of those sides that Forest always seem to really struggle against. But they've got a bit of a new manager bounce since Gary O'Neill left the club. They've had 2 wins and a draw. Obviously, Vita Pereira is their head coach now. I think he knows Nuno from some previous managerial work in Portugal. So they must have quite probably a close relationship, so maybe Nuno knows kind of the way he's going to set up. But a difficult game, isn't it, Sam, on Monday night? Just not one that I'm not confident about, but it maybe just screams a little bit of a potential banana. Maybe I'm being too negative here, and people in the comments will probably tell me, but maybe it's a little bit of a banana skin potentially. I don't know, I just think a cold Monday night away in Wolverhampton, I think Forest might struggle.
I think that's your Forest fan optimism from years gone by is sticking with you there, to be honest with you, mate. Because I'm the same as well. Like looking over the Christmas period at the run of fixtures, I went to Tottenham on Boxing Day, and I said to my dad, I was like, I feel like nothing. I don't feel nervous about this game, and I don't necessarily feel like confident. But I didn't feel nervous at all. Like I go into look at games like Everton away and like Wolves away, and these are the ones where I'm like, oh god, this is a really, really tough game. And then I'm looking at the likes of Tottenham, and even, I know it sounds stupid, and people are going to laugh at me in the comments, but Liverpool at home, I'm thinking, yeah, great, perfect. This is fantastic opportunity for them to come to City Ground and get the atmosphere rocking, and we'll intimidate them, and we'll do something against them. It's the ones like the Wolves away that I kind of worry about. But I mean, the added boost that we've had in the week is that obviously Mateus Cunha's been handed his ban finally. I mean, it was no way near enough of a ban for what he did. Absolutely ridiculous from the FA. But anyway, he's banned against us, so that's all that matters. Because he's been a shining light for them throughout this season. And he always manages to score against us. I feel like he's a top player. He's a top player. But they've got this new manager bounce. Hopefully, when we go there, we can disrupt that and put an end to that and carry on our good run of form. So, like you say, nervous about these sort of games, but the way we're playing at the moment and how convincing the Everton one was, it's made me a lot more confident.
Do you think, Sam, and it's a very odd point this that I'm about to make, but is there, maybe it isn't actually too odd, is there similarities in a way between when Forest got promoted that season and you went away from home and you never feared anyone and you never had that, you were just kind of talking about my Forest optimism within me, and you never had that feeling anymore going to games, and you felt like we could be in it no matter what, and you felt like there was not luck, but something just felt right. And I was saying this to a good mate who's a Sunderland fan, and obviously they're doing really well at the minute. They're probably going to get the playoffs, hopefully try and get promotion. And he was like, even during games where we're not at our best, we seem to just break through, and there seems to be that little bit of luck or special feeling on our side. And I said, well, that was exactly the same when we got promoted. I could highlight many games where Forest weren't at their best, or you look at the special moments in that promotion season away at Bristol City. And I mean it in a sense, transferring into this season under Nuno in the Premier League now, that we don't really fear anybody. We seem to hold on to a lead. We're not conceding from set pieces. It just seems to be everything that was typical Forest last season and seasons ago. It's almost been thrown out the window now, and you have that optimism going into games, don't you?
Yeah, I think you're actually spot on. That feeling that we had in that promotion season, it's quite similar. Obviously, there's a lot more excitement around when we had a lot more media attention. But that feeling of, I mean, there was like, I can just think back to some of the games that I was at, like Colback scoring last minute at QPR when we played terribly and we still managed to scrape a point. There was Lewis grabbing Bunderton a last minute winner in at
Yates'
Millwall.
Header at Sheffield United.
Yates' header at Sheffield United. There was like, those sort of games where we didn't even necessarily play, well, there were some away games we played fantastically, but some of those games we played terribly and still did it. And it's almost like, It's almost like that feeling, that confidence is back again, and obviously it's at a much bigger scale, a much higher level, which is great to see. But I think the feeling is very, very similar. So yeah, I think you're spot on there, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. And it will be a difficult game on Monday. But then again, maybe I'm just being too negative. I need to be more positive. Come on, Max, wake up. Realise that Forest are third in the Premier League. Keep saying it, and you might get that optimism back. In terms of who else you fear, actually, Sam, just quickly as well before we kind of finalise on Wolves. I mean, Nelson Semedo, João Gomez. There's many players in that side, and I almost look at the Wolves' squad on paper, and I think you probably shouldn't be just outside the relegation zone. Yeah,
absolutely. And they've got the big lad Strand Larsen up front as well, haven't they? Who's managing to find a couple of goals here and there. There are a team that shouldn't be. They've had a few difficult years. They've been up and down, and many thought they would kind of. They've stayed off relegation a bit like we have in the last few years. They've always been in a bit of a hangover since Nuno kind of left them, really, which is, I mean, it's obviously good for us, but yeah, it's a shame because they are a good team and they will still get results. They're obviously down there, but I don't think they're nowhere near going to be in trouble for relegation this season. So they'll be looking to kick on now. They've got the new manager. He'll have his way of playing, and I mean they've had some toxic moments in the last few weeks, so. Hopefully you want to get rid of all that and look forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Give us a prediction, mate.
Well, I'm gonna listen to Paul Merson in the week talking about how everything's going to come crumbling down for Forest because all we can do
really bizarre from Paul Merson. I have to agree. It's just, I'm not one to. I don't like to kind of jump on the bandwagon criticising pundits because everyone has an opinion, and I'll have an opinion that people will disagree. You will have an opinion. We all do. That's what makes football wonderful. And working in media as well. But then I'm just thinking, someone Paul Merson's almost calibre, and I just think it was just bizarre for him to come out with some of the stuff this week. So I'm kind of glad you brought that up.
Yeah, what was he saying about like all Forest do is they score the first goal and they defend it? I was like, well, that's got us to third place in the Premier League. We've done it all season and we'll continue to do it because it gets us points and it gets us wins. And if you can't break us down and we score first, that's how you win a game of football. So I can see I'm going to go based on that, and I think we're going to score early and protect a 1-0 lead. So I'll absolutely take 1-0 away at Wolves.
Absolutely. Alan Shearer was talking actually on the Stick to Football podcast, I think is it called, about, or no, is it The Rest is Football?
The Rest is Football.
The Rest is Football. Sorry, Gary and Alan. But Alan was talking about, how Forest have got that almost set up this year where teams can't break us down, yet we can break the teams that you wouldn't normally see broken down. So he kind of counteracts Paul Merson's point there. So looks like Paul Merson won't be getting a Christmas card from me and you next year.
What's your prediction?
I think it'll be nervy. I think 1-0 is a good shout. I think Wolves will score. I think it'll be 2-1 Forest. Could also be a 1-1, but
Not another Matt Sells clean sheet, no.
I don't know. Again, it's a good point, isn't it? It's because he's been so vital for Forest. I just think Wolves at home with a bit of a new manager bounce, as as we've just discussed, some real key players. I think they could definitely get a goal, but I think Forest will still see it out. I think like I was saying, we have that optimism, that kind of feeling now that things are a little bit different.
Yeah.
Right, I think that does us nicely, really. 20 minutes or so discussing Forest Wolves. A bit of an odd one as well, with the game being played on Monday night. So we'll kind of be back. We'll either be back Monday night or Tuesday first thing for our main episode. I'm losing track of the days. Like, how we're on a Friday today? Is it like, it's just that weird bit, isn't it? Really, in the new year. But yeah, we'll be back on Monday, Tuesday for our main episode. Then a preview throughout the week, and then a few other bits and pieces before, obviously, a bit of FA Cup action and the small matter of title chasing Nottingham Forest hosting Liverpool. The table currently stands as well, for those, of course, interested. I'm sure we all are. Liverpool on first in 45 points. Arsenal second with 39. Forest third on 37. We've got, it's unbelievable, a 6-point gap between us and sixth, which of course is Manchester City. So madness to see. Unbelievable. Long may it continue, mate. Long may it continue. Sam, thanks as ever, and obviously give us a shout out for the tricky tees. Any new designs upcoming you can reveal?
There may be one for the big Serbian in the works. He's definitely earned one. And I need to do one for Chris Wood. It's just finding the right thing. We haven't got a good song for him. That's the only issue.
I think the best Chris Wood one is probably one like Chris Wood's on fire. Your defence is terrified of Chris Wood.
Yeah.
I don't know if you could maybe do something. I don't know.
Yeah, there's not been anything. All the others have got something really good stand out about them. But we'll see. We'll see something maybe in the works. And as ever, just thank you to anyone that's bought one so far. Had a really overwhelming Christmas period with how many people bought them. So thank you very much to everyone that did. Check it out if you haven't on Instagram, tricky.tees.
Lovely, mate.
Yeah, brilliant.
Great stuff as well. And it's nice to see. It's nice to see you doing well, and the Forest fan base and community helping you over Christmas. There's some good fans. We're all a good bunch, shall we say?
Definitely.
I was just thinking actually when you mentioned the one about Milenkovic. There was a brilliant chant in the away end at Everton. I cannot even repeat it on here because I might not be hosting the podcast if I repeated it next week. But it's just brilliant. So I'll let Forest fans use their imagination, or the ones that were there or seen on social media, the chant. But it's honestly brilliant. Love it, and great to see him getting a bit of recognition as well, being an absolute just stonewall defender with Murillo, and of course a shout out to Morato as well, who did a very, very good job replacing Murillo last minute, who hopefully should be back against Wolves. Right, that does us nicely. Sam, thanks as ever, mate. Give us a like, share and subscribe on YouTube and Spotify, Apple Podcasts throughout. Like I say, we'll be back Tuesday. We look forward to seeing you then. Come on, you Reds, for Monday as Forest look to continue an unbelievable win. Can they make it 6 consecutive Premier League wins? That would be nice. Come on, you Reds.